see how easy that was, Marcus? You see how easy that was? I never cower in the face of danger. Strike me.
Strike you? What does that even mean?
I'm feeling an energy from you. Like you want to fight me, man. So hit me.
No. Stop it!
Go to sleep.
So, did Sony somehow manage to win E3 2019 without even showing up? Without even being there? Without even having a big presence? A big showing? Nothing? Well, this is the question that I'm asking, because I see a lot of people coming out here ever since Microsoft's conference ended yesterday and saying this exact thing. I've seen many people saying that somehow Sony found a way to win E3 without even being there. They found a way to keep the hype surrounding the PlayStation 5 and their games, and they found a way to give Microsoft the stage to themselves and still come out on top. And I've really been pondering on this, thinking about it, and I think honestly there are some very good reasons kind of backing this up. And I don't want this to be like a toxic video or even a console war video, because that's just kind of ridiculous. Honestly, it's just really a matter of perception and how gamers and most people really feel. Now, obviously, Xbox didn't just completely destroy their brand or anything like that. It's not that serious. This isn't Xbox One reveal levels of disaster. It's not that serious, luckily for Microsoft. But I can assure you that looking at how Xbox fans, and I'm talking like the hardcore Xbox fans, how they have felt about Microsoft's show, it really seems like they truly let down a big portion of their fan base. And it's really just kind of sad, actually. And so when we think about Sony and we see the moves that they've been making, when we talk about, well, did they really win E3? How could that be possible? Well, think about it. One of the biggest things that Microsoft did during their E3 showing yesterday was they had a whole nearly 5-minute trailer dedicated to Project Scarlet, their next generation console. And a lot of what they revealed in that trailer, pretty much everything they revealed, is identical to what Sony revealed about 2 months ago. I think it was in April. And when Sony revealed the soft specifications for the PlayStation 5 versus what we're seeing now with Microsoft doing the same thing, revealing the soft specs for Project Scarlet, there was just a different level of hype. And it really just kind of goes to show you that, yeah, there's going to be people who are excited for the next Xbox console, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go out there and buy it. But there's just this different feeling towards it, this different tone. And I think it's driven by one thing, maybe two things. I think the first thing it's driven by is it has to be the games, honestly, because something else that Sony did that really kind of surprised people, but at the same time had a huge impact, was about a month and a half, close to 2 months after they revealed the soft specifications for the PlayStation 5, they decided to give us a massive update on Death Stranding, including a long, nearly 9-minute trailer explaining more of the story, showing more of the story, really fleshing out the game, but also showing some gameplay, and then dropping the bomb that is, hey, this game's coming out at the end of this year, believe it or not. And that got people pumped, man. It got me excited. I'm very excited for Death Stranding. And you could just tell there's just this sense of hype and excitement surrounding this stuff that Sony is saying and doing without even having a massive presence too. Like, that's the thing. Even during their latest state of play, you could tell that people were still very excited to see the teaser trailer for Final Fantasy VII. And I think people are becoming more understanding of what to expect during their state of play showings. And we just also got the announcement from Square Enix, I believe it was last night, that the first part of Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be releasing in March of 2020. And I believe it is a timed exclusive, so it will most likely eventually make its way to Xbox One and other platforms. But still, that's a game that people are insanely hyped for, and PlayStation owners get to be excited, honestly. I'm not a big fan of timed exclusives, but it makes sense considering it's Final Fantasy VII, and there's no denying that this is a game that PlayStation owners are really going to be looking forward to. So for, in terms of this announcement of the Final Fantasy VII Remake release date, it's another win for Sony, if we're being honest here. And then you compare that to the things that Microsoft showed yesterday, and I think that the biggest thing that Microsoft showed was obviously Halo Infinite and then the announcement of Project Scarlet. Other than that, there's obviously the Cyberpunk Keanu Reeves announcement, but I'm not counting that because it's a third-party game, and we're really just kind of talking in the realm of, these platform holders and their first-party offerings. And it's just understandable to think that there are people left feeling this way, and I think it's understandable. Now, is it a little bit hyperbolic, like Xbox lost E3 and Sony wasn't even there? And it is, but there is something behind it, and I know that there's going to be the Xbox faithful who will get upset at hearing this and don't want to hear it, but you have to understand that even Xbox fans, like a lot of them, are highly, highly disappointed in what Microsoft showed and the way they handled their E3 conference. This was supposed to be their moment. Not just because of the position that Xbox themselves is in and has been in for a little while now, this generation, but especially because Sony wasn't going to be there. There's no competition, or barely any. And they found a way to just, bring an extremely underwhelming show, and they found a way to disappoint Xbox fans. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. I'm not trying to make it sound like this is some exaggeration, because it's not. I've seen a lot of people who I guess are Xbox fans or have been and were holding out hope that this was going to be the year, and they're just leaving comments on my videos or on my polls or in other people's videos talking about this, just saying how they're done. They've just had it. They've had it. They can't stand the fact that Microsoft barely showed any gameplay yesterday. They especially can't stand the fact that there was barely any new first-party games shown. And there's some people out here, I kid you not, saying that it has become another wait till E3 situation. I mean, we are one day out from Microsoft's E3 2019 conference, and we are at a point where some people have no choice because of how let down they were and how much more they were hoping to see, but to sit there and say to themselves, I guess we'll wait till E3 2020? Now, realistically, is E3 2020 going to be the big year for Xbox? Probably. I mean, it should be, right? That's the year they're going to be launching their next generation console. But I know that there's a lot of people who have tried to explain to me like, MBG, you don't understand, man. Halo Infinite launching alongside Project Scarlet Holiday of 2020, that's a force to be reckoned with. And while I will agree that that is a potent combination, it's just not nearly as potent as it once was. It's just not nearly as exciting to a lot of people as it once was. And I know that there is a hardcore Halo following who is very excited for this, and they have every right to be. Everything we've seen and heard so far of Halo Infinite sounds really good. People are very hyped for it. And again, they have every right to be. But the idea that Halo is going to be the driving force for selling consoles, maybe that's true, but at the same time, we have to understand and accept that Halo Infinite is going to be on PC as well. And so I just feel like there's a pretty substantial group of gamers who would have definitely went out there, bought the newest Xbox console to get their hands on the next big Halo title, especially a title like Infinite, but are not going to do so now because they can play it on PC. Is that a problem? Well, I don't really know. I don't think Microsoft cares that much. They've kind of proven they don't really care about console sales that much anymore. It's still important to them, of course, and they still support the console, obviously. But compared to the importance it holds with PlayStation, it's just two different things here. But I'm simply trying to convey the point that for as awesome as Halo Infinite does look for Halo fans and as big as it's going to be, it's Halo. And I don't mean to downplay it, but we have to accept that it's not something new, right? And it just kind of, in my opinion, highlights and emphasizes the biggest problem that Xbox has had this entire generation. I've seen a lot of really upset Xbox fans talking about how they ruined Gears of War, how Phil Spencer and Rod Ferguson, based off of what they've seen of Gears of War or Gears 5 so far, they just completely ruined it compared to what it was and what it should be. And that's, as somebody who's not a huge Gears fan, I can't really give my input on that. I will say that I'm not that excited for Gears 5, especially after what they showed yesterday. That's just really disheartening to hear. Like, that is the opposite of how people should be feeling right now. But it just goes to show that Microsoft is still putting this reliance on Halo, Gears, Forza, Halo, Gears, Forza. And that's a problem. It really is. And so looking at all of these things come together, looking at where we are now, yeah, I have to say that I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, guys, PlayStation 1 E3 without even showing up, because it's a little bit too hyperbolic for me. But what I will say is that Sony has done an absolutely phenomenal job, and I'm not even trying to brag about it here. They've done a great job at finding a way to announce we're not going to be at E3 this year, and for as disappointing as that sounded at the time that they announced it, they found a way between then and now to keep PlayStation relevant, to keep PlayStation fans excited, to keep PlayStation fans engaged, to keep gamers excited. And it's crazy. And of course, PlayStation fans are still eager to learn and see more about Sony, but I think most of us have the understanding that we would rather you have a show that's really big and really impactful than have a show similar to what Xbox had, where it just feels like there was this big balloon and all the air just got let out of it. I mean, the fact of the matter is this, and I'm going to end the video here. Most people seem to be very let down by Microsoft's showing. And a lot of people have been very impressed with the way Sony has handled their announcements recently. And it just kind of paints this picture, frankly, the same picture that's been being painted. That's a weird thing to say, but the picture that's been painted this entire generation when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox. And so that's just the way it is. So yeah, it seems like a lot of people are somehow still feeling like PlayStation had a better E3 without even having an E3 showing. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Sony proceeds going forward. Do they have a state of play plan for this month where they're going to give us updates on The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima? Well, that's the rumor as of right now. Well, I don't even know if I can call it a rumor, but there's clearly still stuff that Sony has that they can show that will really make a big splash compared to I don't know what else Xbox has. Yesterday was their day to reveal their hand, to show everything, and they showed it, and everybody's just sitting there looking at each other like, that's it? That's it? So, yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I don't want to make it too long. It already turned out a little bit longer than I wanted it to, so let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Do you think Sony actually somehow found a way to win E3 without even being there? Do you think Microsoft messed it up that much? Do you think the announcements that Sony had were just that impactful compared to what announcements Microsoft had? I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Really helps it out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon so you can be notified anytime I upload a new video, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.
I don't have a problem, Sasha. What's your problem?